What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hope you're subscribing there on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify or YouTube or one of the many options you have to listen to the show. I greatly appreciate it. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Kevin Kim. Met this man with the help of Twitter. Reached out to him, seeing if he'd be a guest on the show, and he was very nice enough to share his time and share his stories with me. Guys, if you want to be on the show just like he was, send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Kevin Kim. Do you remember what initially got you started playing games? Was it a family member? Was it a friend? Was it something you saw in a magazine? Like, what got you started?
I think it's going to be a really hard time remembering what it is, but like, I'm pretty sure it was a friend that kind of introduced me to gaming. The very first thing I remember about me playing games would be so you see in South Korea, there's like multiple like little small like thrift shops, like little like small shops where you just buy pens and paper and like things you need for your homework at school. You know, those kind of stores? Yeah, right?
Right.
Usually most of those stores have like two little video game arcade machines outside, and those games change every season or a year. That time where I actually first tried it out was Metal Slug 2 was on there. And my friend is like, I'm going to show you this little game that you can pay with 101. By the way, 101.
Dude, Metal Slug, I don't even remember having any experience with Metal Slug until I think it was PS2. There was some collection or some Metal Slug game that came out for PS2.
Metal Slug Anniversary Collection, probably one has like X, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know about 5, but until 4, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm looking right now. Yeah, it was Anthology. That's what it was. And I remember my brother-in-law fucking loving it, and I was just like, "What is this?"
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. It's really hard to explain to friends that has never been introduced to the series, by the way, but because all they think of is like a slug that is metal.
Yeah, exactly. They don't think of like military things, military terms and stuff.
Like, yeah, they'd be like looking at me like, "What kind of game are you been playing? Like, what the hell?"
Right. Yeah, I think it was either Anthology or I think Metal Slug 3 came out. Did Metal Slug 3 came out on? Oh,
3 came out. 3 came out relatively later, but like 3 was supposed to be the final game of that series until they kind of milked the franchise dry.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, it was that Anthology that had to have had it because I think the Anthology had a couple. It had multiple Metal Slugs on there, but I think that was definitely because I mean, when I did the arcades and shit like that, like I never ran across any of the SNK machines or like Neo Geo machines or anything like that. Like so, That was all completely new to me when I played Metal Slug, and I was like, "Oh, this is a cool game," and then not even realizing like this is an old school arcade game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, like. So as a child, like you'd be like a first grade, like not even first grade, like just like almost getting to that stage. We don't have a lot of money, but those arcade machines only cost 101 per play, and 101 roughly estimated it's about like a dime.
Oh wow!
Maybe even less than a dime in dollars in terms of like United States money. So, like, I would ask my mom. She's just like because, I would ask for like for a coin, and she would give me that coin, and I'll be like playing that thing all day.
Oh, I bet.
And like got so really good at it that I don't leave like, okay, maybe this accomplishment might be like a little bit nullified, but by this kind of age. But as a kid, not dying at all on the first stage, that kind of gets you.
Right. Well, I mean, again, like there's accomplishments. Like to be honest, I don't know if I've ever beaten an arcade game. Like in the arcade, I should say. Like it's real easy to win when you have unlimited lives when you have the home version at home, but like to do it in the arcade, because I'm convinced in the arcade they make certain levels for you to die on purpose, so that way you just keep feeding money, which makes sense. I would do the same shit, but Yeah, exactly. Like, by the way, you will not survive this first level, regardless of how skilled you are. You will not survive this first level. But no, like, I mean, to get through a certain level of an arcade without dying, you're like, hell yeah, this is like, because you're actually playing with your money. Like, this is your,
Right,
currency. Like, this is the thing I need to live on.
right. And it's like when your friend dies, you're just like, dude, come on! I thought we were gonna make it to like stage 2 together. And he's like, no, I'm done. Like, live on.
Yeah, exactly. And they're quick to abandon you too, especially at the arcade. Like, dude, we're so close to the end. He's like, man, fuck this. I'm out of money. I'm gone. And you're like, no, I need you.
No, but like those little machines were pretty hella cool. But then we got introduced to the internet. The internet, by the way.
The internet, the greatest.
The internet, the greatest, yes. During that time, Nexon was kind of big. Like, the Nexon game company was pretty big in Korea. So we played a lot of online games they made. One of the biggest thing during that time was something called the Crazy Arcade. Not really need to like explain to you because it's basically Bomberman.
Oh, okay.
But like except they have like cutesy kind of characters, and instead of bombs, it's water bombs.
Yeah, because that won't get you any
Yeah.
copyright lawsuits or anything like that, right?
Right, and that shit was famous. It's like that shit went long. Like, and then the creators got really really ambitious and made like Tetris or like I don't even know what they're called. Like finding the differences between two similar pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, they had like a lot of this. They had like fort defenses and everything. Right now, it plummeted. It tanked like hell. Now it's back to like just being a bomb ran, and we called it the BMB, bomb and bomb. I think.
Right.
I think that's what it's called. Also, it was kind of a cash milking franchise. Like, so when you get bombed, you're trapped in a bubble where you're kept on a timer. So if your teammate comes and touch you, you're back in the game. But if your enemy touches your bubble, you're dead.
Right.
But then they would make like cash items where like the needle, the infamous needle, where you can just use the needle one time only, just to get yourself back in the game without having your friends save you.
Headphones. You're gonna hear headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. Because the thing is with me is I'm thinking like because I never really played Bomberman much. The funny thing I think of like with the concept of bubbles, the only thing I could think of is New Super Mario Brothers U. Like,
right.
Like that's the only thing I think of when I think of the bubbles. But it makes sense. It's almost like it's funny because it's like thinking, oh, I got downed in Fortnite or Apex. It's like I could have my buddy save me, or I can have an enemy come kill me. So that's the
or
kind of
you can just use the needle.
Right, exactly. Or you can use your lifeline, which is your gold shield, where you can respawn yourself and just pop it. So that's funny.
They do it. You only get to use it once, thankfully. Like, thank God it was balanced somewhat.
Sure, because I mean, if you did, then what's the point? If everybody has unlimited needles, there's no need for the guy to come get you. So where's the risk reward in there?
Right, and then people like so even like there's also a ranking system, like a level system, where it's like you start with the bronze medal and then silver medal and then gold medal, and then you get to the plain medal. By the way, like you don't go from bronze to silver. Like you have to bronze 1 stripe, 2 stripe, 3 stripes,
right,
and then you move on. Like that kind of ranking system, very convoluted. I don't know how as a kid I understood that thing, but I managed to.
There was a lot less for you to understand in other ways. It's not like you had to worry about things like mortgages and shit. You just had to worry about
exactly. Like,
I think that's what some people forget is like, some people are like, wow, kids are so smart. Like, no, kids only focus on one thing. Like
one thing only.
They just have to focus.
Like, level up.
Exactly. Like my kids or whatever, when they were playing on smartphones and stuff, like they know smartphones because they don't have to worry about, jobs, mortgages, life insurance, shit that adults have to deal with. Like if you didn't have any of those other things to deal with, you'd be pretty good at the
reality's hitting hard right now, huh?
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like that's how.
I'm a senior year right now. Like I want to slightly less worry about those stuff.
No. I'm not saying you have to worry about it. I'm just saying it's things you think about. Like you're taking up real estate in your head with other shit besides this one thing. So I never get all like weirded out when they're like, "Oh wow, kids are so smart." I'm like, "No, kids are fucking stupid." But they just have to focus on one thing, and it's real easy to be awesome if you only focus on one thing in life. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And,
that
and, and
reminds me too, like of
yeah.
the ranking system of how Rocket League, and does the same shit. Like,
I had not played that game, but
oh
I
my
heard it
god,
was convoluted. I heard it was convoluted.
Rocket League's such a great game. It's such
Yeah.
a great game, and it's so
I
funny
can
because on
attest that it
paper,
is, but I don't think it's my cup of tea,
well, it's funny
unfortunately.
because like on paper it sounds dumb. Oh, you play soccer
Yeah,
with cars, like
right.
that's the game. You play soccer with cars, but then when you get to playing it, it gets quite fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But yeah, that was Bomberman. We
oh,
would play
I
that
see. Leave her.
for ages. I think that's also when my mom also kind of said, like, "Oh, this is not good for my kid."
My
By
kids
the
are
way,
kind of like really attached to this and like it a
like
whole lot.
as an Asian family, you're gonna have to it's bound to happen at some point because my parents were very strict about video games. Though she did buy me a SNES at some point without any cartridges, so it's like they had like a built-in cart inside the SNES where you can play a bunch of NES games, the
Oh,
old
okay.
style. The only thing I remember from that actually is what was it again? Circus.
I'm trying to think of what that
Circus.
is.
Pretty sure it was Circus, where you have to like jump over like flame loops on a horse and everything.
That was actually like an SNES game.
NES. No, so it was an SNES, but I think they hacked it into it. So there is no cartridge on it, but like there's like a chip inside the SNES itself, where
Huh.
you just turn it on, and all of a sudden you have a library full of NES games.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I mean, also too, like, I mean, I had mentioned to you before. So, like, did they have a lot of like modified, hacked, like different types of things in South Korea, or was it? I mean, because I don't remember an SNES coming built in with anything. Like, obviously,
Right,
SNES had its
exactly.
carts and stuff. It would come with a cart. There was bundles of like Mario World or the Mario All Stars bundle and stuff like that. I just don't remember anything ever being built in.
Right. It's just that I don't remember it anymore. But like during that time, I do remember not having a cartridge stuck in there, and I was always wondered like what goes in there? Like it opens, but
So it actually
that's like
opened. So that's crazy. So
yeah,
it was a fully working
yeah. It's a
SNES,
fully
except
working
for it
SNES,
had
and
games built
I'm
in.
pretty sure if I did buy an SNES game, it would play.
Was it
My
SNES or was it Super
it
Famicom?
was Super Nintendo. It was Super Nintendo. I'm
It
pretty
was
sure
Super
of that.
Nintendo. Oh, okay.
And my theory is like my mom knew about it. But again, the Asian parents of like video games are really bad for you. I think she kind of put a barrier on that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's
Understand?
really. I was going to say that's one of my questions. Is like, how supportive were your parents when it came to gaming? Did they kind of get the games to shut you up, or did they like, oh no, this is something he really enjoys? It sounds like though they were just like, no, this is bad.
I think they didn't know what they were getting themselves into when they first got me it.
Gotcha.
Right, and then later on, they kind of realized it was also slowly becoming that like this state of history where like video game addicts kind of like do random stuff like bad shit. So I think that's where they also got like the idea that like video games might be bad for you.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes parents get that where what I
Yeah,
mean, like, oh, video games are bad for you. Like, I get. I think the only thing is like, as a parent now, is like, if video games become detrimental to other things around you, then it's bad.
yeah,
But real quick, that could go for anything. Like, hey,
yeah.
if you do drugs and it's prohibiting other things, then yeah, that's a problem. If you drink and it's prohibiting other things, yeah, that's a problem. Like, it's not like just because video games are video games and that's the reason why they're bad. But like,
Right,
if my son is playing games and not doing his chores, that's a problem.
that's a
But
problem.
if he's just taking up
The
time playing
excess.
games and he's doing good in school, like I can't really bitch at him. I'm just like, no, you're doing fine, so go for
It's
it.
like got no arguments there. He's the Phoenix right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a big thing. Like my daughter, for example, has excellent grades in school. Like I don't have to hound her in any way, shape, or form for anything, like at all. She just does really well in school. I don't have to hound her for grades. I don't have to hound her. Did you do your homework and all that stuff? I don't have to do any of that. Meanwhile, my son, on the other hand, is like, did you do your homework? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Did you turn it in? Yes. Was your name on it? Yes. Like I have to hound on him so hard to make sure he's cool. But they both play games, and my son will say, "Hey, why is Kayla getting time on her Xbox?" I'm like, "I don't know, because she did her chores and she has straight A's. And what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going to limit her gaming if she's doing well." So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're also too. It like were your parents like very strict on making sure you did well in school, and that was your number one important thing? And if anything got in the way, they were like against it, pretty much.
No, more. It's just like, do well in school, get good grades, but like video games are still bad for you, so you only get to play 30 minutes a day.
Wow, that's
And limited.
crazy.
I think that got more limited to 30 minutes per like a day in the weekend.
What?
That's how bad it got. But like again, you have to realize that
Okay.
like if you tell a kid not to do anything and like in like great excess at like so many times,
Mm-hmm.
you and I know both damn well know that they're gonna do it.
Oh yeah, like if you tell a
And
kid
that
not to
was
chew
me.
gum in school, that's the number one thing they're going to do. And then the moment
Right.
you allow it, it's not fun anymore. You're like, oh,
Yeah. So in Korea we have something called the PC bang, so PC rooms. So there's like it's basically a store with like lines and lines of computers, like high tech computers, high end grades, and there's like games downloaded into it, and all you have to pay is like you have to pay a certain like hourly fee, and you can just play games on it. And of course I'm going there, right?
well,
Because
yeah.
right after Crazy Arcade was that fever was gone, Maple Story came out, and oh my god, oh my god. The hours I burned into the game was insane, and it's also like Maple Story, like the early games, like the early days where leveling up was a bitch. Like holy crap!
So why? I think I've heard of that game, but why am I not knowing what it is? Hold on.
It's a Korean RPG. I think more than anything, the sales really got high because of the soundtrack. Because the music in that game is absolute baller. Like give it like have like a soundtrack and give it a listen. Actually, don't do that. There's like 300 songs there by now.
Oh jeez.
You
Yeah.
know, that game is still going really well and is still like huge, except the story in that game is now like absolutely convoluted, like more than Avengers convoluted.
I was gonna say Avengers isn't that bad. I would say more. Is it more convoluted than Kingdom Hearts? Because Kingdom Hearts is like,
Oh yeah, no,
Jesus.
no, no, no. Like people are saying like I don't understand Kingdom Hearts. I'm like I don't understand anything in Maple Story. Like
Yeah, it's funny because like
let
I'm looking up Maple Story right now, and like they had a Maple Story game for DS that
yeah,
obviously I'm almost certain did not release in the States because like I just am
right.
looking at I just looked up Maple Story and I found Maple Story DS, but like I'm 100% convinced that game never came out here.
Yeah,
'Cause
I think it was a Korean only game that I believe. I may be wrong. It may be like the diamond in the rough kind of stuff, but the online one is what you play if you want to
right.
get the full experience out of, which I did. Um, Leveling up was a chore. Like you would have to play like hours and hours and hours to level up, and like during that time, what you do, you start with like an adventure, and then you get your job class up at level 10. But that process in of itself is just so long. And when I finally got to level 10, I was like, yes, I'm going to be a knight. And then do you know what happens? Like, you know what? Like the most unexpected thing that happens in life. It's just like, I'll just give you like one little guess there. Just like, see what you think.
I don't know. I would say internet went away. I don't know what happened.
I go to another country.
Oh yeah, sure. So you just bounce and leave the country.
No, my family just told me like, hey, dad, your dad just got like a job opportunity. We're going to Portugal. And I was like,
Wow.
excuse me, what? I'm
Yeah, because
sorry, I
that's very
didn't hear that
unexpected.
clearly. Yeah, that was the most unexpected thing in my life, and that's probably the biggest turning point in my life and who I am today. So I went to Portugal. I
So
lived
you
there
went
for
from
6 years.
South Korea to Portugal.
Yes, by the way, never take your kid on a 9-hour flight, and I'm pretty sure my mom telling me that I was like the rowdiest kid in the plane. Don't do that.
Dude, I've been on flights that are like 3 hours with rowdy kids. I can't imagine 3 times that amount because that doesn't sound fun. Like, holy shit.
Exactly. 9 hours of flight time, and then we realized the time difference between South Korea and Portugal was 9 hours, so I can't even play games with friends. Although that's a really, really dumb thinking because Korean servers and Portugal servers, pretty sure they don't mix.
Right. So was the game even available in the country when you went there?
No, it was not.
I was gonna say because like I'm looking at this game right now because again like I personally
it has a global port now. So,
right. Yeah, I see that now. But I mean like for example, I just looked up Maple Story 2 for example. In Korea, it came out in July of 2015. Worldwide, it came out October of 2018. So more than 3 years later, it comes out worldwide, which is kind of fucking crazy, especially in today's world of like the internet and and like being able. That's just insane.
It's because Maple Story wasn't successful in South Korea, so they had to make money milking out of somewhere, so they released it globally for free.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, it's just kind of nuts that that has that type of difference nowadays. Because like I've mentioned that before, where imagine if because back in the day, like game consoles used to like in Japan, a game console would come out and it would be a year before it would show up in the States. Imagine if that shit happened today. Like people would lose their fucking mind if a PS5 came out in Japan for a year before it was in the States. You know what I mean? Which
Actually, you know what? No. I'll get to that point. I'll get to this point way later in my story. But like, I got things to say about your point right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that a game that came out in 2015. Okay, so I mean, in 2015, Maple Story 2 came out in Korea, and then now like it came out just last year for worldwide.
Yes,
like it's just crazy to think of that during this time of day. Like again, like years ago, I get it, but like with the internet and with how social media is and how talking about games, like to have a game come out and not be available for another country for 3 years is kind of bananas. But again, it just depends on the type of game, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. One thing I forgot to mention: did you have any brothers or sisters growing up?
I do have a sister. She doesn't like any games, and I think at this point in time, she's cool with me playing games secretly because even I'm a 24-year-old adult and I'm still playing games in secret from my parents. So,
dude, okay, so your parents don't even know that you play games right now.
She doesn't even know. They don't even know that I'm streaming.
Wow, that's crazy. Would they still be
even more?
Would they still be like that? Like, would they still be like, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah, they would still be like that.
Wow,
it's kind of nuts. That's why my vacation in Korea was kind of like blowing my mind. It was like I'm like trapped in a gameless house for a month. I'm just like, I need to find something fun immediately right now.
I mean, again, everybody has their own points of view, and obviously, I'm not shitting on their point of view. Obviously, that's just how they feel.
Right. It's just how they feel.
It's just it's just kind of different that. Again, like, and again, that's the best reason why I want people on the show from different parts of the world is because it's for me, like, to have it like a thought of like, if my parents or whatever thought me playing games today would be stupid. It's just a cultural thing. Cause now like moms are playing Words with Friends on their phones. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Everybody in the States almost can be considered a gamer, quote unquote, because they have fucking Candy Crush on their phone or, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
So there's still parts though. There's still like cultures and there's still people out there who straight say video games are the devil. Like they just don't like them whatsoever. They just think they're stupid. Even my grandma was playing Words with Friends. You know what I mean? Like my grandma was playing Dr. Mario back in the day on an NES when I left it at her house. Like, like in the States, I didn't think anybody out there, you know, again, there could have been some more religious people that were just straight like, these things are the devil, these things are bad. Because, I mean, for a while there in the States, people were straight up thinking video games were causing people to kill people, which is ridiculous. You know,
violence was a really big thing.
Right. Yeah, like, Doom and Mortal Kombat. And then again, but for the longest time, people thought music was, you know, Kiss and Marilyn Manson are making people kill people. Shut up. Like, no, they're not making people kill people. Like, you fucking stupid people. Like, it's just, but again, now, like I said, so you went to South Korea for like a vacation and they are just, what do you think would happen? Go ahead.
Pardon? Sorry, I didn't hear you through.
No, I was going to say, what do you think would happen if you told them, hey, I play games?
I think they sort of know, but like, they just kind of have like hints of knowing. I mean, at a certain point when you have like a high-end gaming laptop, the Omen 15, they kind of get the hint.
Right.
But like,
No, you're doing
Right.
spreadsheets on that thing, dude. You're not playing games. Come
No,
on.
no, no. Yeah, I'm doing stuff like I'm getting my job application on this high-end computer.
Exactly. You need that high end.
Yeah,
You need the high end laptop so that way your applications look better.
yeah, but like I came back
I'm
from school and
recording.
mom
Nice.
immediately mom says like you better
What'd you
not
say
be
in a
playing games
second?
on this house at least. I was like, oh, so she slightly knows, I guess maybe, or she's assuming something grand, but yeah, they're still not cool with it.
Wow. That's again though. I mean, that's why I like talking to people because I get to me that's crazy. But at the same time, there's many
Right,
things that people see that they think are crazy that I think is perfectly normal. Like,
right,
like example. I won't say that we did it too early, but in a way we kind of did. Like my daughter, for example, who's 4, has a
right.
phone. Now, to be clear, it is not a phone that has minutes or texting or any of that shit. It is literally an old phone of mine that I put YouTube Kids on that she can just get and watch whenever she wants. Now, some people are like, wow, you're putting a screen in front of your kid too early. In my opinion, my kid's going to see screens for the rest of their life. If I get them used to it now, they might excel at it and be better at it at an earlier age.
Right.
That's
We're
my
also
thought
have to.
process.
We're also talking about a world where now in education they're putting coding in as a mandatory like a
Right.
course.
Right. So, I mean, is it, because for example, you get those people that don't mess with computers or don't mess with phones. And then by the time they get to the point where they need to, they are not as equipped or adequate as a person that's in the same age. You know what I mean?
We're more
Like,
distracted.
right. It's almost like you don't want to be the last kid to have something, but also it's like being the first kid with something could be a downfall as well. Like so many people are
Exactly.
like, but also at the same time, everything in moderation, right? So I don't
Yeah,
just
everything is in moderation. Everything excess is bad.
exactly. So I don't just throw a phone in my kid's face and go, here, I'm not going to pay attention to you. Have a good day. Like, when I take
No,
my the phone away and like, all right, it's bedtime. She doesn't have a goddamn panic attack and freak out or anything. I'm just like,
right.
no, you've had fun with this shit. It's time to go to bed. And she's just like, all right. And she's cool about it and everything. But, that's the thing is like with your parents, video gaming, I think they might just, again, it's weird because some people think with video games and things have changed over time, right? Like some people
Right,
think video games are just a big waste of time. Some people
right,
don't realize that like gaming tells some stories that are like better than movies.
right.
Like Last of Us and Walking Dead and those types
Ooh,
of
yes.
games like tell stories that are fucking amazing.
Mhm.
But because it's a video game, some people just write it off as like, oh, it's a video game. They don't realize like, hey, these are actually really big narratives now. And,
Actually, like to people who say those kind of thing, I introduced them to a game called To the Moon, where it's just. Have
is
you
that
ever
a
played
newer
To the Moon?
game?
Pardon?
Is that a newer
It's like
game? No, that's
no, it's
older.
a very old game. It's like an RPG game where it's
Okay.
more like a visual novel kind of thing. But I think, in my humble opinion, I think that has the best story I've ever seen in my entire life in video game stuff. You can give it a whirl. Actually, it's like 5 hours long. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm
I
not
just
going to
looked it
spill
up and
anything.
everything. It says the official description is adventure game developed by
Right,
Freebird Games, released in November of
right.
2001 or 2011.
Anything
Sorry.
Bird makes is absolute god in terms of story. The guy who makes those games has actually like the best story written stuff ever. Again, highly recommend to anyone who's like not really used to games but still kind of want to get into that visual novel kind of adventure games with a heartfelt story. Go for it.
Yeah, I know that there's been like a lot of people when it came to storytelling in games and stuff like that, where a lot of people were showing people like The Walking Dead, like just the Telltale games, because it's kind of the same thing where like as far as the video game aspect of it, it's very minimal, right? There's not a
Yes.
lot of crazy buttons you have to hit. It's not necessarily difficult or hard. It's just literally interacting with a story. That's how I kind of
Right.
like feel when it comes to like those Telltale games. So like
Yes.
that's kind of cool as far as showing people the stories of that. I know obviously Twitch streaming became way more popular where people are just watching people play games now. So
Exactly. Yes.
me personally, see that's the thing. For me personally, I don't want to watch somebody play a game really. Um, Again, I'm not shitting on people that do. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of like, if
It's
I had
personal
time to sit and watch you play a game, I'd probably rather just play the game,
play
or
it.
a game in general. Also,
Right.
I am a dad with a full time job and 4 kids and stuff. So like time wise, like if I have a certain amount of time, it's very rare that I would sit and watch somebody else play a game. Like the only time I really do that, and even esports stuff, like I only watch like games I really give a shit about, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But then at the same time, I'm like, I could be playing this instead of watching somebody play this shit. Like, I'll just,
Mhm.
I'll just go do it myself. But
Right.
yeah. So as far as it goes, so you moved from South Korea to
To
Portugal.
Portugal. And
That's not a big difference in cultures or anything.
then, well, there was the first game that I was ever introduced to, and that was called RuneScape.
There you go.
Ooh, RuneScape. Oh my god. Where do I begin with that?
I mean, dude, a lot. Dude, the funny thing is like, if you're talking about all these like massive, MMOs and shit, and I've like barely played any, like,
Right.
I like that was a whole genre that I just seemed to skip completely over for whatever reason. I think it was just because I didn't play much on PC. I was more a console person, but that's probably why I missed all of them. But dude, you are naming just top notch MMOs left and right, man.
But like, here's the thing: they're free. They were
Right.
like easily accessible. So it was like that was the only thing we could. And as a elementary school kid, like I had no friends. Also, like I'm pretty sure like my parents didn't think this through because I did go to Portugal not knowing how to speak English in an international school. So I was really subjected to kind of being like ignored by a lot of kids. Though in time, I did get to know the kids thanks to RuneScape.
Nice.
Because one day they saw me play RuneScape and they're like, "Oh, I'm a member in RuneScape. Do you want to manage this one account between another friend?" So it's like 3 of us, and one person would be logging on doing like member skills. The other guy would be like wood cutting every single day, and I'll be like the guy who goes out and do quests. Because in any game that I go to, I always like to have a sense of adventure. So the quests are always like hitting up my alleyway all the time. So I would be beating quests left and right, giving more accessibility to the world for my friends to get in there and just like level up like it's nothing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and then those 2 people became my best friend. Although I have not heard from one of the guys, but like there's the other guy who I first met. He and I are still in like we still like talk to each other like not too often, but like once in a while we get to like talk to each other and say like, "Yo, man, those are good fucking times, man." Like, oh, right. So great, right?
Yeah, I have a buddy similar to that. Like he's been one of my best friends since I was a kid, but like we still do that shit. Like, dude, remember that time in Halo 2? Like, yeah, I remember that time in Halo 2. Like,
and then we got so close. Though that RuneScape account has been disappeared. It was gone out of the mist. I don't know how it happened, but like we're still good friends, And that's when I found out, like, you can actually still make friends with video games. That still becomes like a core point. And thankfully, I began to know a lot of really good friends later on. And talking about, sure, it's like video games can also like block out on several other people that you might have been friends with, but that's beside the point. Also, that's when I got a PS2.
I mean, the other thing too is, here's the thing: you were basically playing MMOs. Like, yes. Right there alone, your ability to have chats with friends and things like that, that was your social circle, especially in your situation where you weren't even, the cultural divide right there was so big, but at least you had that to bring it together, to be able to actually, chat with somebody and like, not even chat with somebody in a way, but just like communicate through that, you know what I mean? So that, you had those types of experiences. Whereas me, like, I didn't have those types of more like online experiences until like way later in my, how old were you when you were playing RuneScape and doing all this?
I was like 3rd grade, I think.
See, dude, like I didn't have like Xbox Live or any of that shit until I was 18, 19. Like I was out of the house and already, like my more social interactions with having to go to people's houses to actually like do this shit. Whereas with you, it's cool because, like I said, you got to experience that at such an early age. And it's cool though, because at the same time that became a way for you to be socially interacting with people, especially, when you weren't even able to speak the language. Right.
All the time trying to hide from my parents that I'm not playing these games.
Yeah, that's true too. How did that work, by the way? So when you got a PS2, did they get it for you?
They got it for me because that was the one time where I actually got amazing grades. They're just like, all right, you know what? We're gonna give you like a second chance with it. Um,
Meanwhile, they
and
don't know.
meanwhile, they didn't know that I was, playing left and right on my computer, thinking they thought I was like getting education stuff going on, but no, I was playing RuneScape.
Did you ever have to like alt tab and like hide some shit if they ever came around a corner? Like, whoop.
Not even alt tab. So it's like it was around the time where like multi tabs were working on a. So they would always look at the window. When you look at the desktop thing, there's like a taskbar in the bottom,
right,
where they show you which things are open. They only look at that, but they don't look at the browser on the above. Those tabs where you open up and then you just kind of go page to page.
Right.
They don't look at that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's easier for you to hide it.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. It was kind of funny, not gonna lie.
Well, I mean,
but that's where
you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta play games somehow, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I also bought a Game Boy without them realizing I ever had it.
How the hell did that happen?
I just saved up a lot. When you get like allowances, you don't use them. You don't use them on like a bunch of candy or anything. You just save it up like so many times, and you got a Game Boy Advance. I'm like, I didn't think this through. I had to keep hiding this, and I shit you not, they still did not know, even to this day.
I mean, good for you. I mean, hiding shit. I mean, like to hide a Game Boy. I mean, I guess that hiding a Game Boy isn't terribly hard, but it's just a matter of like how quickly somebody could walk in your room and be like, "Oh, hi, what's that in your hand? Where the hell did you get that?" Yeah. Especially with parents who are so against it, man. It'd be like if you were doing drugs and they walked in like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
I learned how to sneak 100 way before anyone could.
Right? Yeah, you had that sneak level way up there.
It was way too good. Yeah, I think that's really like keeping me alive these days.
I'm super happy though that at least your parents weren't so against it that they said, "No, we're not buying this for you." Well,
that was the last thing. That was the last time they bought it.
But still, I mean, like they could have said no. Like they could have said, "Absolutely not. I'm not buying you any video games ever." Period. But at least they were cool. Like, you know what? He did right. Yeah, let's get it for him. So.
I also think they also kind of admitted that like video games really got me friends in the first place.
Right.
That might be also a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge, and it reminds me of like my son, for example, like he plays a lot of games. Okay.
Right.
Not gonna lie. My son plays the shit out of games. It's his number one hobby without a doubt. Like that is absolutely his number one hobby. Certain people will say, like my father-in-law will say, like, "Oh, he needs to get out of the house and hang out with his friends more." I'm like, well, you don't realize is he actually is hanging out with his friends. He's just playing games. Like ever since Party happened, like Party Chat and all that stuff on Xbox, he will get into a party with buddies who aren't even playing the same game with him, and they just talk. Like they're on the phone or they're hanging out in the same room. Like they just bullshit. And that's his social interaction. Now I understand the fact of like, you don't want that to be his only social interaction,
right?
But also it's not like he's in his room playing a single player game by himself, not talking to people. Like he is absolutely talking to all of his friends, all of them at the same time.
Right.
He just happens to be playing games while he's doing it. So, in your case, RuneScape, especially when you're in third grade, Jesus, dude, third grade and MMO, like, yeah,
and then not getting a single cut, like, oh, geez, like I'm still thinking through that step. I'm like, how did I actually pull everything off?
Right, again, sneak level 100, bro. Like you had it down.
Sneak level 100, and then like I lived there for 6 years. Made some really good friends. Like talked and about like video games, and then I had to go back to Korea because the time was up. Like my dad, like was hurt. He had a period of time where he could work in Portugal.
Real quick, what did your dad do?
He works in Samsung.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So he just kind of like got an opportunity. So we went back to Korea, and I couldn't adjust. I couldn't get along.
Really?
Because I was way too, how people call it, westernized. I got so absorbed in the Portuguese culture, I couldn't go back into the Korean culture that well.
Wow.
Right? So it's like,
I mean, the thing is, too, is you left at an age where, I'm not going to say you were impressionable, but like you left during an age where
I'm still like growing up.
Exactly, right. It's not like you were an adult, moved away for 6 years, and then came back, and you've already like you were still growing up and learning yourself, like learning all about
Right.
you. So
At that point, I'm pretty sure I did English way better than my Korean was. Now it's half and half, but yeah, I went back to Korea in middle school. I was just like very worried because I couldn't speak to a lot of these kids until I met a guy who had a similar experience as I did. We greeted each other with broken Korean, and we both knew, oh, you and I are the same. And he's like, all right, yeah, like, what games did you play as a kid? RuneScape. Oh, so was I. Boom, we clicked. Where do you live? Literally 2 buildings away from you.
Wow.
Clicked.
Did his dad work for Samsung too? What the hell?
No, but like, we were like big buddies, and like he also had his other buddies, and then I was in a circle all of a sudden. We'd be going to PC rooms, play Sudden Attack. By the way, that's like the Korean version of Counter-Strike.
Right.
We'd be playing games left and right again without like telling my mom. Also, a little funny fact, trivia thing, like in the PC rooms during that time, there was no boundaries with smoking in that facility. So
secondhand smoke like crazy.
Yeah, secondhand smoke like hell, crazy hell. That's when I first got my first headache. But during that time, parents would find out if you'd gone to play games with your friends.
Because you would smell like smoke.
You smell like smoke, right? So what we did was like bring another jacket in. We go in wearing the second jacket. And then that second jacket goes into the bag. And in the bag there's like a pellet, like a Febreze kind of thing.
Oh my god.
We were hoping that Febreze would like cover the smoke, while we would wear like the clothes where we started off with. We go, and just to double make sure, we go into a restaurant and order something very cheap. And now we got the food smell onto that clothes.
Oh my god.
Just to hide it.
It's like a whole process.
It was a process, but like if we were determined, we're like we're gonna play all day, and we're ready. And we're just like, you got the goods? Yes, I got the jacket. Like, we're good.
Jeez, man. I didn't even think about that too. The smelling like smoke, because that would throw up a red flag. Like, where have you been?
We would get caught. We would get caught like sometimes, but like more often times than not, it was like 1 out of 10 times I would get caught. And
I like how you masked it though. You masked like smoke smell with food smell. Like made sure you swap jackets, and you had an alibi. I was here. I have receipts. I was at this place.
The receipt that we bought like these foods, like that would also kind of work, you know. Right. Just saying.
Oh, you smell like smoke. Did they? Do a question? Did they smoke in the restaurants as well? So could you kind of pass it off?
No.
Oh, okay. Correct.
So it's like if you look at a PC room, like there is the smoking section and then the non-smoking seats, like smoking seats and non-smoking seats, but they didn't have like a clear divide. Right, so the smoke from the smoking seats would eventually pass on through the non-smoking side.
Of course,
and you can't escape that. Like,
dude, yeah, it wasn't until recently, because I remember as a kid, restaurants smoking or non-smoking, like you had sections, but like there wasn't proper ventilation to actually make a difference. Like if you were on the edge of the non-smoking section, you were getting smoke in your face. Like what were you going to do? Now they actually have like air ventilation to help actually have a difference, but also now at the same time they pretty much block smoking and like doors everywhere.
Nowadays, like all the PC rooms are non-smoking zones. They just have like a little cuppy room where people can smoke, but they can't smoke while they play games anymore.
Right. Also, too, by the way, I don't know if you know this, smoking towards electronics isn't very good for them.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know.
It kind of destroys internal components.
I don't know about that, Chief.
Dude, opening up, I remember like opening up a computer of a person who's a smoker is the grossest fucking thing. Like everything in there is just layered in like brown, gross dust, dirt, grime. It's so fucking gross. So, but of course, we're stupid. We don't know these things then. Now we do. So,
and then my best friend, my friend that was in Korea, his parents was a lot more forgiving. As long as he had good grades, it was fine. So he had a Wii.
Oh, nice.
So I used to go to his house, and he would introduce me to something called the Super Smash Brothers X. because in Korea they localized it and named it X instead of Brawl. So I would play that. No, I'm just gonna say I just played that game and I had a fun time with it. I'm gonna leave that portion there because it's gonna come back to bite me in the far future. But we played for 2 years, and then my dad says, "Kevin," or let's just go with our gamer tag, EggsD, "you are not adjusting into Korea, and I can see that." So I got another opportunity. I'm just like, "Excuse me, what? Where is this going?" And we're like, "Where are we going this time?" "Oh, we're going to Brazil."
Jesus.
I'm just like, I just graduated middle school. Like, isn't like going to high school like be like important step? Yeah, that's why we're going to State. I'm like, oh, so we took a 12-hour flight to Brazil.
Oh my God.
By the way, we have to transit into the States first and then go to Brazil.
Wow.
Or Dubai. Dubai also works. But like, so we landed in Sao Paulo. I'm just like, oh. And you know, one thing that really just kind of sucks in Brazil, Brazil is a wonderful place. And by no means am I saying Brazil is shit. But Brazil had the shittiest internet I've ever seen in my life.
Really? Dude, I remember Brazil, like, I can't remember if it's Brazil or not, but I think there's a country where they still make, like, Sega Genesis games and shit.
I don't know that, actually.
What's that?
I don't know about that one, unfortunately.
There's like some country that still makes like Genesis shit just because of like there being such a big deal there. So,
right.
Yeah, but I remember Brazil, like I remember thinking like Brazil had like this huge tax on like video game shit too, to where like getting a new console there was like impossible.
Right. So yeah. I didn't have any console at that time, but I was introduced to something else called Steam.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And, like, my friend, before I left, gifted me Killing Floor.
Yeah,
Yeah, Killing Floor and Left 4 Dead 2. And you know what I was going to play during that time.
Dude, and how I Left 4 Dead 2 is so fucking good. God, yeah, I miss that game so much.
You know, and then, you know, it was actually a lot easier finding friends because, high school, there's more people now.
Right.
We also found friends, like, we had friends, we had, like, now no longer friends, but, like, we met some really, really good friends there, and we would play games. I would have, like, free periods, and I would be, like, in like, free blocks and just, like, in the library just playing games, and then my friends would, like, join me, like, yo, what are you playing? Oh, I'm playing some Skullgirls on Steam. Just like, yo, I got another controller with me. Are we gonna play? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play, you're gonna lose.
Dude, so hold on. So real quick, so you had mentioned before, like, you went from Korea to Portugal, came back to Korea, and it was another, like, divide. Was it similar when you got to Brazil?
No, there was less divide because I already knew what I was getting into.
Sure.
It was like, it's a lot simpler. But, like, it was also a time where my mom got really got active on, like, catching me playing games. So I was really
she caught on. Your sneak level got dipped down.
Yeah, she slowly caught on. Still having a hard time finding it out. But, like, it was also a time where I had to go to, by Asian family standards, go to a really prestigious college.
Of course.
So that was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was the darkest time of my life. Like, I'm just trying to, you know, work out with friends, just working out like how I'm gonna live my life. And my parents are just gonna be like, you need to have like full grade age. You're gonna be like, you need to make like resumes. You need to make CVs. You need to get like personal recommendation way ahead of like these other guys. Right. And like going to like really good schools like Princeton or like I don't know, like MIT or stuff like that. And, you know, that whole conflict with my parents was just so grandeur that like video games was like pretty much my only source of like having a break from all those stuff.
Sure.
And it was just like, you know, it was tough times. I would just like sit on my table just like, man, this sucks. And like my mom got so paranoid that like she would enter to my room and sit right next to me. So I can't play anything.
Jesus.
Right? So I'm just kind of locked down and I'm just like doing work.
Wow.
And that would happen very occasionally. Also, like, she would later on resort into placing the computer in the living room. forcing me to be in the living room. So it's like she would always have a constant eye on it. So it was like, it was very hard. I did manage to find out several ways later on, but you know, the DS emulators,
Yes.
you know how they're really small?
Yeah, like, are you talking about the actual cart itself?
No, like the DS emulator, like the one where you can play it on the computer.
Oh,
Like DS
gotcha.
games,
Okay, yeah.
right? Like that's Mum. So I later found out. This is by the way, I told my friends this, and they were like absolutely losing their minds on how I actually pulled it off. So there's the computer, and right behind me is a sofa where my mom would sit or like lie down and watch TV, and then there's the chair where I sit on. There is a certain angle where my back just blocks the screen, and that was bottom right corner. Like exactly the bottom right corner. Like there's no way unless she like actively goes around to see what I'm doing. So I would put.
Set it down. I will get it for you in a moment. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, like
so I will put the emulator screen on the bottom right corner, and that's how I managed to find out that Ace Attorney series was one hell of a series, dude.
It's just so nuts that you had to get to that point where like you were sneaking games that hard, like going to the bottom right corner. You can't see this angle of the screen.
I was going balls deep, dude. Like that was absolute crazy. Like, but I told my friends, she's like, "How?"
Right. Like, but yeah, at least
how many times did you play it? I'm like, I finished Ace Attorney 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the spin-off game.
Just jeez. And I mean, at least you had access to those games as well. Because at that time, like, did you ever find out about your Game Boy or anything?
No, the Game Boy was already like trash in Korea. Like, it got too old. Like, it was like gone.
I mean, at least you never found out about that. Like,
yeah, I called the time of death on that Game Boy. It was a sad day.
Did you give it a proper funeral, or did you just have to toss it and go?
I had to toss it. You know, like when you're in wartime, like, you know, your friend's kind of in trouble, like, and he's like, you have to leave me behind, and you're just like, I don't want to leave you, but I have to if I want to live. And it's like tears everywhere, and you're just like running. Right. That's how it felt. That's how it felt. It was a rough day, right? Give me a break.
Right. No, I mean, it's just kind of crazy that it's almost like you should have a PhD in sneak because of all the things that you were doing to like just avoid getting caught playing games.
Yeah.
Jeez. So you're to a point now, you're in high school, your mom's on your ass about getting good grades, getting good college, all that stuff. You're sneaking playing games and all that stuff. But you weren't playing, like you said, though, you weren't playing as many games during that time.
Yeah, and I was very depressed in that. Like, and I did many things that I was really not proud of, and I don't think it's not something you'd know what it is if you're like a very stressed high school, especially with tiger parents around you. Like anyone who would like kind of understand the things I would do. Sure. Very, very extreme measures. But like I got through it though. Like later on, I did get accepted into college. Like it was fine, you know, in the end. Right. Well, no, actually, it wasn't fine because I didn't go into a prestigious school my parents wanted. But
yeah, I was going to say, so like, did you get to the point? So where did you go to school then?
I got in Brazil or like?
Well, I mean, so like, did you get into a good school like there, or was it like they were encouraging you to go to different skates? Okay.
In Brazil, I got into like one of the highest like prestigious high schools for international kids, but like later on, I got into Penn State. Nice. Which to them was less than mediocre.
Wow.
So it was like, you know,
did they have like but real quick though, did they have like two options? Like you either go into this school or this school, and those are the two that
they wanted me to go to MIT, Yale, or Rochester.
Gotcha. And if you didn't go to any of those, it was a failure.
It was a failure. And I did get accepted into Rochester, but then I saw the international tuition fees on that school. I was like, nope.
Like, I'm not going into debt for the rest of my life. No, thank you.
It was $80K a year.
Dude, that hurts.
That's insane. Like, no, that hurts. Like, Penn State still is expensive, but it's $50K. So, like, a lot more reasonable.
For sure.
And I told my parents that, and they were fuming.
Wow.
And they're just like...
Did you ask, are you going to pay the rest? Like, you going to pay for the rest, or...
They
Like,
were ready to pay for the rest, but like when you have your parents pay that much stuff for you, especially when you're a high schooler, when you like understand how the world works somewhat, you don't want to take that pressure. Like
oh yeah, like
that's too much pressure on a person. And I was like on the verge. I was, again, I have to tell you, I was like depressed, and I was like doing like extreme measure things where like I'm not proud of.
well, right,
So
and
like,
then adding to that pressure. No, I completely understand. Like, you would want
yeah.
to make
So I
sure,
did.
like, if someone's paying $80K a year for you to go do something, you better not fuck it up. Like,
Yeah,
that's,
right.
oh, Jesus Christ, dude, I couldn't even imagine that.
So I went to Penn State like after much agreements. It was also when I found out like I kind of wanted to be a teacher at that point in my life, because like I was very like sad and down, and the only thing that really got me going to like see the light was like my two friends and the teachers. Which is kind of funny, because you'd expect, like, as a Korean person, you would also expect, like, teachers will be against video games as well. But, like, they were a lot supportive of it. And there was, like, one teacher named Sandra. She really helped me out. Like, she's like the second mother to me. Like, she helped me out so much with getting through all that stuff. Even to a point where, like, they also wanted me to, like, apply for Korean prestige college as well. So it's like, when I asked the Sandra to give me like a recommendation letter, she knew exactly that I didn't want it to go. She like humbly denied it, and my
Wow.
parents kind of stuck on a block. And I'm like, I can't ever be like more than thankful that ever like to her, and my two friends who are always supporting me whatever things I did. One of them was one of them. We had a falling out, unfortunately, but the other person, I'm gonna call her Shelly, because that's her nickname. But like, she and I are still best buddies, still talking to this day. And I would like pay like good amount of things I earned from my part-time job just to go to Canada and just to meet her, because it was just like great friends. She also loved Pokemon, so like that's how
It helps a little bit, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
no, go ahead.
So it's like her influence comes much later. It's already big enough, but like later on in college, it becomes a lot bigger. But she and I would talk about Pokemon, and she would like learn like what Pokemon are great. We also would like have like a bet where like certain Pokemons with like very very weird pronunciation or spelling, and we would say bet on something on that on this happenstance. Like I lost on Giratina. I don't know how to spell that Pokemon anymore. And like how unknown and stuff like that, and we would like bet on candy and stuff. Like we had a blazing fun time.
So when you got to college, the
Yeah,
good, well, so here's that. So you get to college, and obviously it's college, so you're busy doing
yeah,
college shit. But at the same time, were you relieved because now, like, hey, I can play games now?
yeah. One of the big thing about college saving my ass was my parents aren't there.
Yeah, your parents
My
aren't
parents are
there.
not here. My parents aren't here. Like I just got a good computer. Oh my god,
Right.
I can have fun. And then I go into the clubs, and they're like, "Yo, you look like a video game kind of guy." I'm like, "You want to join our club?" Like, "What club is it?" "The video game club." I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh yeah."
Like, yeah, like that
Friday
sounds
game
like a good time.
Friday game nights every Friday 6 p.m. Go in there. It's like there's a PS4 on one side, an Xbox One on the other corner, and like they're playing Jackbox on the third corner. Hell of a time.
I was gonna say, like,
Like,
that sounds like almost your ideal time, because it's like, again,
right?
you had to sneak playing games at these, at the PC
And I
lounges.
no
Like,
longer have to sneak.
exactly. It was just like, you don't have to sneak around. You don't have to, hide a thing in the corner of a screen to avoid it. You don't have to do any of those things. You literally could just play and enjoy and not have to like look over your shoulder to see who's coming in. You know what I mean?
Right, and now I'm like with like I know it's like people would think like if you go to like my parents would like go to like clubs that have video games, like, there's only like 10 people there, you're not going to know each other. Yeah, no, like 70 people,
Right.
or more, depending on what they like, what kind of week it is. So it was like I was just like meeting so many people, and we don't just talk about video games. We also talk about like how we're like worried about the future and stuff. Like they're like, oh yeah, I'm like in this major and I can help you on these kind of stuff. Like you can like get so much help just by saying you love video games.
Right. Well,
And
especially
oh my god,
in a area where, it also helps with the fact that like all of these people are by themselves. Like all
Right.
of these, almost adult. Well, yeah, adults. You're 18. Almost all
Yeah,
adults are there just to be like, cool. We're on our own, doing our own thing. We're not living at mom and dad's house anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that completely, and that freedom and that like, nobody's gonna judge you because you want to play games and shit, or nobody's gonna look at you wrong for being any different. Like, yeah,
to
dude.
give you an idea of how free we were, like how much we clicked. I'm living in an apartment with two of my roommates who I met there,
Right.
and then we're still having a fun time.
Exactly.
Which
No,
like,
that's good.
and
Oh,
then,
that's great.
and then we had another opportunity. So we had the video game club, and then we had the esports club. Esports club was very disorganized. It was like very not. It was weird going into those kind of stuff, and I didn't want to play games competitive at that time until the Smash Brothers division separated from the esports club, and they became their own club, the Super Smash Brothers Club. And it was around the time where Wii U was almost approaching the Smash 4 Wii U was about to approach.
Right.
And remember how I loved playing Smash Brothers Brawl back in Korea? Yeah, that hit me hard. I definitely went into that club and played Smash all day long. And I'm like, and then I suddenly got better at it. And then when Super Smash Brothers Wii U came out, I was a competitive player over it by then.
It's so funny because like with Smash, I remember playing. I never played the 64 version. I played Brawl. I played Melee, and that was the first one. And Melee was the one I went fucking insane for because I worked at a video game store during that time. So I went nuts and played with a bunch of buddies and all that shit. And then like ever since then, I'm not saying Smash is less fun when you're by yourself, because Smash can still be a great game, but it's definitely amplified when you have more people to play with. So like, I got, the newest Smash Brothers for Switch, and it's a great game. However, because I moved away from where I grew up. Like I live in Arizona, I used to live in Illinois. All my buddies that I played Smash with and all that shit live there. So like, also Nintendo's online is not trustworthy whatsoever.
Yeah,
so,
it's
so bad. So I got Smash for Switch and I'm like, this is a great game. But like, I went on vacation recently. I went to see my brother-in-law, and that was like one of the games we played together because I was like, yes, let's please play Smash so we can play, and it's way more fun when you're sitting there with some other people. But, if Nintendo's online was better, maybe I'd be happier with it, but.
Yeah, that's how I got to meet a lot of my friends, and then I would call out to them because for some reason I was in a supplemental dorm, so it was like a bigger dorm than usual dorms. So if it's bigger, then I invite my friends over, and we would play until like 3 a.m. just playing games. And we would just and then some people
you're in college, dude. Do what you want, man.
Yeah.
Ball out, have fun.
And then you just have meaningful experiences because it's just like 3 a.m. We're like getting ready for bed. We're just like lying down in like our bed / sofa.
I mean, again though, you're
You're just like we're just like lying down. We'd be like talking for an extra 2 hours. We'd be like talking about like how our lives, like how we truly feel in front of like certain situation, and you get those meaningful conversations, and you just kind of realize that sure we met through video games, but we now have a meaningful friendship together, and that ain't bad. It wasn't bad.
Again, in your whole lifetime, I mean, especially when I won't say because you're so young, but you've had the internet at such an early age where like gaming was always a way for you to.
Right.
Find friends and build relationships and have a community around you. And now it's just the fact that these people, instead of being more online, these people are like in front of you. So, and that's the thing that's funny is like you had the exact opposite of what I had. Like I had the whole social interaction of playing games with people because the internet wasn't even an option. Now it's the exact opposite where 99.9% of the time I'm playing games, I'm doing it online with my buddies because, the fact of us being together in the same place is a lot harder to make happen.
Right. So it's like, and then, again, and then that's like Smash Club is how I met like more people. And then eventually 2 friends that I'm rooming with now and, having a fun time. And it was just, it's a graceful period, seriously. And then I had to go back to Korea for 2 years. Story's not done yet, mind you.
So you had to go back to Korea.
We're almost there, but I had to go back to Korea because Korea has a stupid law where you have to serve in the military for 2 years.
Right.
Right?
Man.
So, bam, I'm in the army all of a sudden, and bam, I'm in the artillery. And technically, you can argue that if there is a random tank on the street, I can drive it.
Wow.
I am a fully fledged artillery operator.
That's insane, dude. Like, holy shit. Again, again, it's that cultural thing. Like, I forget that's a thing. In like certain countries, you have to serve in the military regardless. Like, that's not an option.
You know what's even crazier? They have arcade machines. They have 2 arcade machines that I can play on. So it wasn't as terrifying as it was because I can play on one side. There's a hacked Xbox 360 where, again, they changed the game library every season. So I would play Dark Souls 2 on there.
Hold on. There was an Xbox on where?
Like in the base.
Okay.
You
just scared me to death because I thought you meant there was an Xbox in the tank you could drive, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
No. We're not that luxurious. Don't worry about it.
Right. I was gonna say, like, wow, got it. Okay.
We're not that bourgeoisie.
You're just like driving down the street in a tank. One guy's like watching out for shit, and the other dude's playing Dark Souls in the back.
It's like 6 o'clock. It's like something on at 6 o'clock. Like what? There's actually no. I'm playing Call of Duty. There's actually someone at 6 o'clock. Don't worry about
God. Okay. No, that makes sense.
But like on a break room, there are 2 arcade machines standing there, and one there's like an Xbox 360 incorporated in it, hacked, of course. They had like library of games, and I played Dark Souls 2. By the way, my least favorite Dark Souls of the series, unfortunately, but it was the only thing there. So I played it there, and I got to like new game 27 or something. I don't remember. I had a lot of time in my hands to do.
Jeez, apparently, it sounds like it.
Like I even speedrun that game at that point. And then there was Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Now,
nothing wrong with that.
Apart from Smash, I wasn't really a sucker for fighting games, but that game, playing with your army buddies just to like prove your strength, like prove that you got the chungus that you get, you're the best in the barrack. That was fun,
dude. By the way, fighting like. I don't want to consider, like, some people consider Smash not a fighting game, which is kind of stupid, in my opinion. But it's completely, it is. But, like,
I actually have no thoughts. I have zero thoughts. I just think both are really good games.
No, yeah, really, I mean, but, like, when it comes to fighting games, that's the one genre of game that I just don't fuck with. Like, I am not good, and I will never be good. It's just a matter of, like, even if I put in the time to get as good as I possibly think I could get, it's still not good enough. Like,
there's always someone above you.
But I mean, in fighting games, it's almost like a next level of them being better than you. It's you, no matter how hard you try, you will never be as good as this. Like, and especially, well, again, with me with fighting games, I always had fun with like the Mortal Kombats and shit, like just messing around in Tekken. It was cool. But then when the internet existed and then you play online fighting games, you realize that you're a piece of garbage. And that's just now a genre I don't fuck with. I look at Mortal Kombat 11 and I'm like, that looks great. That looks cool. Yeah. Remember I talked about watching games? I'd rather watch cool shit happen in Mortal Kombat than play it because I am not skilled enough to do any of the shit I'm seeing on screen right now.
Right. For me, it's like, I'm a very competitive fellow. If I get shat on, I'm going to be like, you know what? You're my next target. I'm going there. I'm getting to that point. I'm going to get to that point. I'm going to improve myself and just say, I'm going to do some really stupid shit anyway. And people are going to say like, why are you doing that kind of thing? But yeah, sure. That's still a learning process. And I will still like keep that in my head and still get through it. And then that's how like, that really got me through Army. Like Army was really not that fun, by the way. It was like, just random stuff. And like, you meet like crazies. You meet a lot of crazy people in the army.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, especially when it's not something you're technically signing up for voluntarily. Like in our military, at least in the United States, it's just like, you get a certain level of people that go to the military that want to go to the military. But obviously there are a lot of people that are like-minded because they're volunteering to do this. Whereas in a country where they're like, no, you have to do this, you're going to get people that don't give a shit about it. And then you're going to get people that like really give a shit about it. Like,
I still think living in the army really heightened my experience in Persona 5. This came out of nowhere, by the way, but like, you know how Persona 5, the main theme is like being rebellious and like going your own way, making your own path. See, the army was kind of tough. Like superiors were like, they were kind of dicking on you, like just because you're like people who just serve in the army, like they kind of treat you like shit.
Yeah, again, you're not people that signed up to be there. You're kind of forced to be there.
Like,
so.
Yeah, the superiors get like a job to do, and they just send it to the bottom people, and they're like, like I have a higher rank, like you got nothing on me. You can't really rebel on that, and it's like a shitty situation. You just kind of realize that like this kind of reality in the world is fucked up,
right?
And they also said like the army is pretty much like a simpler representation of a society that works, and then like I can't agree with that because it's just like it just kind of gets picked on by everyone, and you know you just don't like it. And
last time I checked, I don't get shit on by everybody. Like most of the time, people are pretty respectful and cordial.
If you have a healthy relationship with your workers and everything, that's totally fine. But like that was like one of the extreme ends, and I'm just like, this sucks. Like you can't like even the people like even among the soldiers that you come on as a serve, if you're a higher ranker than the other person, like the other person really can't do much when the higher rank is like abusing you, like kind of like shit talking you and everything. And a lot of people like kind of look forward to having that superiority complex, having all that power. And I just never understood that. I'm just like, why be like this? Like, that's just, you're being a degenerate. You're being that kind of guy who just kind of screw people over for fun. Like, why?
Yeah, some people are like that. I don't get it either, but.
That's where I learned. That's where I learned really hard in the army. And then when I started playing Persona 5, there was this one scene, like there were many times where you steal people's hearts, and I just kind of like sat there and like there's one of the streamer guys. Like I streamed Persona 5 actually. There was a guy, MacBifat was there when that happened. Like I just kind of like started tearing up and just saying like, man, this is what like the biggest thing in society. And like I was really heated when I played that game. It was just like very meaningful to my heart. But yeah, that was the army. I got out, and then when you have vacations, again, you're going back to home, and it's just like there's really nothing to do. But then I remember I played Smash competitively, so I was like looking in Korea. So is there any like Smash competitive scenes in Korea? And that's when I learned something. Remember when I told you about when you talked to us about localization and everything?
Right.
Nintendo Wii U was never localized in South Korea.
They just skipped it?
They just skipped it.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people skipped it, but the fact that it wasn't in your country at all, that's a different story.
It was never localized. So there was a scene, by the way. There was a scene. But like we had to get like the Wii U's from the States or like from Japan.
Right.
And even then, like the tournaments were like very small, like 20 entrants, like not even 20, like sometimes 12.
Well, I mean, again, too, like it wasn't widely available in your country. I mean, you had to do next level shit to get it.
Like, totally understand. And like, if you wanted to like go competitive on a fighting game, Tekken is where it's at.
Right.
By the way, got bopped really hard. Not. But yeah, so. And then that's when I was given like an idea where like person's like really having a hard time just organizing tournaments, and he asked me, "Hey, you want to help on making the tournament?" And all of a sudden, I'm a soldier and a tournament organizer in Smash Korea.
I mean, again, though, like, so what year is this?
This was 2015-ish, 2015, 2016.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, Switch isn't even
2017, 2016, 2017. But yeah, and then I got out the army, and I said, like, goodbye, army. Screw you, superiors. Fuck you, that one guy who always kind of screwed me over, and just kind of had my own way, went my own path. Got a part-time job, started working through, and then I went back to Penn State, and then the scene was evolved. It has evolved and everything, and then that's when the Switch came out. Like I bought the Switch, and then we were like, "Hi for Smash Ultimate," and then this hit. And then we were like, oh, one of our leaders for the Smash, Penn State Smash left all of a sudden because he had his own reasons. So we had like a temporary president for the PS2 Smash Club, and they were like electing positions, and for no reason whatsoever. Well, I had a reason. I kind of wanted to be it, but like for like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I became the vice president of the Penn State Smash community.
I like how these things just kind of fall in your lap. You're just like, oh, by the way, this.
Oh yeah, by the way, this happened. And it's just kind of like you just think about it. Like you just think about it for 3 seconds, and you're just like, "Excuse me, what?" By the way, all the while not telling my parents about it, and them never knowing.
Well, again, you're miles away, like a lot of miles away. So.
I'm just like I'm a vice president of this of Penn State Smash, and also a tournament organizer for the Ultimate Smash Ultimate side.
Right. I mean, again, though, like they're miles away. They don't need to know these types of things. So,
they show good grades and fine.
So you're currently still in Penn State right now.
Right, yeah, and that's pretty much how far I am right now.
But you said you're, like I think we had mentioned before, you said you were a senior year.
Yeah, I'm a senior year, yes.
There you go. So, I mean, you're going to be out soon, and what are you going to do after then? Like, what's your plan as far as, like, where are you going to stick in the States, or are you going to go back to South Korea? Like, where do you think you're going to go?
My biggest hope is that I stay in the States. Well, sorry, let me rephrase my biggest goal. My biggest goal is to stay away from South Korea as much
I like to stay away from
it's not just the parents, it's just the way the society is structured, like sure, there is good. There is a lot of good in that country. Like you do find good things, but like it's just not for me.
There you go.
Deep in your heart, you just for me. And I'm just like trying my goddamn hardest to just try to get employed somewhere, at least somewhere, because I major in science. I learn about cells, and then I also kind of learn about like education and public policy. So I learn about like how school works, and I'm just like, I hope I can do something with this in the States.
Oh, I'm sure.
Also,
yeah, you'll be good.
Also, like going to South Korea kind of means like losing my game consoles. By the way, I have a PS4 and a Switch and a really high-end gaming laptop that my parents still doesn't know about. And I don't think I can take it. I don't think I can take them. Maybe the Switch. I can probably stealth the Switch somehow, but not the big things.
Right.
Oh.
Jeez. Also, is there any, like, to be honest, because again, I've never traveled internationally, do they have like rules about you bringing shit in and out and all that stuff, or no?
No, they do not.
They don't care if you brought it in. Okay.
Yeah. The Switch doesn't have that function, but you know how region locks work.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, those are the only like limitations you have on that.
Which I think none of the new consoles are region locked, like at all. So.
Yeah, the new consoles pretty much don't have those things, which thank the Lords they don't.
Well, again, in your situation where like certain consoles weren't even released in the damn country, like that's kind of a problem when it's region locked, and then you get it and you have to like import every single thing. So yeah, like again, I've never been one of those to like import a game or anything. So like I've never done it before or anything like that. And I've heard of people doing it for like Japanese games. Again, that was before it became a big thing where now games come out worldwide, especially Nintendo shit. Like, especially with Pokemon, like so many people were getting Pokemon shit from Japan early, and then because it wouldn't release right away, but now they're worldwide releases. So so that's like how I got. That's all like games. Oh, actually, I also missed out one big detail is that I started streaming in Twitch. Yeah. So what? So I mean, you're streaming Persona 5, which, by the way, I mean, that's the only game you have to stream because it's like 7,000 hours long or some shit.
Actually, well, I finished that game, but like there was a big approach later on. So when after I had done with my military service, I asked my friends who were already in Penn State. They're like, "Is there anyone they can room with?" And they referred me to a Smash player named Bobby, who I haven't met during that time, and my friend Billy says, "Yeah, I know you and I know him, and I can definitely tell that you and him are gonna get together like really well." He wasn't wrong. Let me tell you, he wasn't wrong. We got in there. We were just kind of awkward, but then within 2 hours we were clicking. We were just like, by the way, what I mean by clicking, I mean like sure, like getting along fine, but you have to realize that I'm a very goofy person. I force memes into everything. He deals with those memes, and he just kind of nullifies them. That kind of get along together.
I mean, like I said, sometimes you get people that just click and stuff. Like I remember, one of my best friends, Brandon, his buddy or his brother worked at Best Buy with me, and I remember just like he's like, "This is my buddy Brandon or my brother Brandon," and they look so different. Like I was like, "Are you sure?" Like I don't know, but for whatever reason, things just click, and sometimes you find people that happen to do the same and or just have the same thought process and stuff. And now he's like one of my best friends. So
so and then he used to stream. I think he sort of does. Like he does stream because he is now our Penn State Smash Club streamer.
Nice.
So he streams the tournament matches going on. And he taught me all about streaming, and all of a sudden I'm just streaming random stuff and then I was streaming Tekken 7 until I met a guy named Professor Proto. He whooped my ass, and I'm like, this guy has a Twitch TV link. I'm gonna go see how he is, and then that's how I met the New York streamers. And then, like, he referred me into a Mashout community, and then it got me to stretch to, like, you've interviewed, you've had a podcast with Silverstone 14 and Shellshock, right?
Right. I
got to know them. And though we were in different states, we hung out, like, we were really friendly together. And then when I started streaming, and it was, like, still at the low levels, they helped me out so well. I would say Silverstone and Shellshock are like one of the two people of the many people that are in the group we are in. If were not for those people, like I wouldn't be streaming today. I got the Twitch affiliate status because of them, like helping me out. When I started streaming Hollow Knight, that was the biggest jump. Like that's when everyone like kind of came in to help me, and that's when I got to really shine as like my own Twitch persona. And it worked out so well, and then now I'm like doing really crazy stuff, like playing Resident Evil 2, where every little Twitch alert. So you know how bit cheers and like subscriptions and follows, they have like their own jingles, right? I replaced them all with horror sounds, like gunshots, screams, like Mr. X footstep sounds. Like there was a time where I'm just like overlapping to Mr. X's footsteps, so you have no idea where he's coming from, and oh my god, I'm punched in the face.
Yeah, that's oh man, it's funny because like that's a game I wanted to play. I played the one shot demo, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. Just haven't gotten back to it yet because fucking Apex ruins everything. Let me rephrase that. I love Apex to death. It is literally one of my favorite games of the year. It's amazing. The problem is when that came out, it literally made me not want to play anything else. I literally dropped every other game. I was like, I don't give a shit. Apex is out. This is amazing.
You know what game does that to me? It's a similar way? Rainbow Six Siege.
My son loves the shit out of Rainbow Six Siege, dude. He plays the shit out of it. He loves it so much. And he's like, Dad, you should play. I'm like, no, you should play Apex. No, you should play Siege.
Within 2 years, I stacked 400 hours, and I'm not proud of myself.
Dude, I'm scared to look at how much I've put in Apex, like, since it's come out in February. I'm fucking scared to look at that stat. Like, that's probably not a good stat at all. Like, yeah, but, I mean, whatever. Who gives a shit, man?
Yeah, and, and then I got streaming, and just, like, and then I'm so thankful for them, and I really wanted to meet them. So, like, this August, I'm hoping that I go to the New York and meet these guys. I need someone to house me actually, but like they'll get to it. Potatoes, things in the future, electric boogaloo, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll find. So
yeah,
like you'll be fine. I just looked up my Apex time since February, 234 hours.
Oh.
I mean, that's in 4 months.
That's a lot of Lifeline packaging incoming. Lifeline packaging coming.
Yeah, it's a lot of Mirages and a lot of grapple here.
Lifeline packaging coming.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
It's a lot of that. 200. And by the way, I'm 5th on my friends list. That should tell you how much me and my friends play the shit out of this game. One of my buddies is 28 days. The shit came out in February. Like, that's a month. That's almost a month.
Imagine waking up to Lifeline packaging coming.
Dude, I would. Yeah, that's a lot of Apex. But I mean, again, if you have games that are fun, that's fine. Speaking of games that are fun, but segue.
Right. Yeah. Segue.
So I had mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, before we recorded, I was going to ask you a question of a lot of people end up getting a game for a gift. In your case, you probably didn't get too many of them because of the situation.
Right.
But, some people wait and they get their job and they get their own money and they get to buy their own games. And sometimes they get hyped up for a game and it ends up just sucking. What is the worst game you bought with your own money?
Oh, can I say two, actually? Those are
Sure,
there's two that just kind of screams at my face. They're both very different reasons. First of all, the very first game that I bought with my own money, and I'm really quite disappointed in myself, was a game called Remember Me.
It sounds familiar, but not. I'll have to remember it later. No, I'm going to search it up right now.
It's like a game where you alter memories while fighting people, where you just kind of. It's a game where you kind of tells you about the ethics of memory.
Yes, I remember that game. Yeah,
messing with your memory kind of stuff.
I
it looked cool. Yeah. Your trailers look so amazing.
It did look cool, but I remember that game being butt. I remember that game.
And then when I started playing it was so lackluster. I'm like, why am I even playing this game? There's nothing happening. People their trailer had shows clips of running away while guns are shooting. You're just running away. You're just running. He's you're climbing while the police are looking for you. You're just climbing.
Yeah, I remember this game getting
not much.
mediocre reviews from people, not quite a bit. As soon as I saw the picture, I was like, I remember that game now.
It was one of those games where the concept was fantastic. It's just the execution, every single bit of it was not.
Right.
And you just do nothing but Roblox oof sounds, I guess. But then there's another game where I bought, and I was just amazingly disappointed for the different reasons, was Destiny.
Hey, that's my game. That's literally my worst game I bought with my own money. Fuck that game. That game is trash. I'm sorry.
No, for different reasons. See, I bought Destiny, but I never played Destiny. By the way, I call bad games in a very weird pronunciation. So Destiny is officially Density for me.
Yeah. Going with the good old density.
Density, just good old density. But yeah, so what happened was on my freshman year, I don't have an Xbox, by the way, but my roommate had it. He had an Xbox 360, and he and I both wanted to try out Destiny. Just wanted to play it. He said it's from Bungie, and I love Halo, so it's I want to play it, right? So I decided to buy it. I just wanted to be the initiative. Turns out that it requires a hard drive storage. And guess what? My roommate's Xbox didn't have.
Wow, really?
Storage. So we were stuck with a game that we couldn't do anything.
It's okay. That game was fucking butt anyways. Same boat.
We wasted so much money on it.
Dude,
what?
I was so pumped about Destiny because I love Xbox. I loved Halo. I'm I can't fucking wait. Let's go. And I played it. Got it that first day.
Instead of Destiny, you got Density.
Dude, I was sad. I was just sad. I was like, this. It was just the same shit over and over and again. People will tell me, the game got better after 2 years. Fuck off. I got other things to play in 2 years. I'm not going to stand by and wait for a game to get good. So
Rainbow Six Siege got better within 2 years, and it did a better job than Density.
For sure. By the way, applaud you, Ubisoft, because I remember when Siege got announced, and I was like, yo, that game looks like ass. And nobody seemed to care about it that much. And then
they built it up. And then now we have 45 million players.
So well.
It's still a broken ass game, mind you. But
still though, that game is being a top played game on Xbox every week is mind boggling. If you had told me a year ago this is gonna be one of the most popular games out there, I would have been or 2 years ago, you would have said that. I would have been get the fuck out of here. That game's not gonna be that good.
Yeah, get out of here. You're no longer in the Chungus group. No, get out of here.
No, it's really good. So my son again loves the shit out of it. So
yeah, I love the shit out of it.
Yeah. If people wanted to check you out on the internet and see where you stream, where would they go?
They would go to twitch.tv/EggsD2 because someone took EggsD.
What? EggsD?
I don't know.
Took EggsD, original?
Yeah, so it's just literally egg and then the letter D and then 2 at the end.
Jesus. I'm just shocked that somebody got the first one.
It's because I play Yoshi in Smash.
No, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm just saying, I just find it funny that somebody got the first one, EggsD. Somebody got that first one, so.
Yeah. and a lot of and I would like to also kind of like honor and mention and say, remember the girl that I told you about, the best friend still now named Shelly? So every single artwork, every single like things you see graphically, it's all her.
Oh, nice.
It was until later when I finally got like a stable income, I started to pay her with all this stuff. Like she just usually just like, yeah, I'm just bored, so I made you this drawing. You can use it whatever I like. And then to a point where I'm just like, no, this is like this is pay worthy. Like, oh my god, these are quality stuff. And then I started paying her, and then now we're like in a healthy business relationship, along with the friendship relationship. Right now, like she also makes plushies. So like, she loves Pokemon. So in my room, there is an Absol plushie. There is a purple Yoshi plushie. There is a Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle plushie. There's one more. There's a Riolu.
Does she sell these?
She does not, unfortunately. And I keep telling her, like, you should sell
Etsy
them.
store.
You have no idea how much people will die for these stuff.
Right, just go Etsy it up.
But yeah, no, right. But slowly but surely, she is like starting to make commissions with art, like for emotes or like backgrounds or
I'm
posters.
trying, sweetie. Okay, just relax.
So for me, I have the Snowshi, which is the hybrid of Snake and Yoshi. I dropped Snake though. That was unfortunate. I have my friends who we call the Paluigi, basically a Luigi wearing a Palutena robe and staff.
There you go. Man, yeah, just tell her to open up an Etsy store. Tell her to get that shit sold.
Yeah, I'm still persuading. Like she's working on it. Like at some point. But yeah, that's how you find me.
Absolutely.
Right now, I can't stream anything because the internet connection is terrible. So I'm still on hold until August, at least August. But from then, you're just gonna see just a lot of meme stuff. Because I have another like scare stream planned, and I'm not looking forward to like playing Alien Isolation with everything scary sounds coming out left and right.
No, that game's already scary enough without that. So no.
Sometimes I wonder why I do this to myself, and then I realize this because people being scared is a fun thing. So now I already have like sound clips of alien screams and like Android footstep sounds already. So this time it's more like incorporating into the game. So it's like game sounds from the game. So you just kind of have to keep guessing.
There you go. No,
Why do I do this to myself?
I don't know, man. I mean, again, it's like some people enjoy that stuff, and the whole scary games thing. I remember when people were like, "Do you want to play Resident Evil 7 in VR?" I was like, "Fuck out of here! No, like no one wants to do that. Like, no, thank you. That sounds horrible."
No?
How about no? Exactly. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of your insane stories with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
I hope the Nintendo DS on the right corner will forever be like fossilized.
Absolutely, yeah. That's how that'll be the memorable point is like playing a DS in the bottom right corner.
Design of that. Just the bottom right. There's a DS.
There you go. Absolutely.
I'm gonna ask my friend for that.
There you go. All right. Thanks a lot, man.
There we go. Thank you so much.
All right, and again, thank you, Kevin, for being on the show. Guys, if you want to check him out on Twitter, you can go ahead and follow him at Kevin Jean Kamar, or I could also have a link in the show notes so that way you can check him out there. Of course, you can also check out any of the streaming that he's doing, so feel free to check him out on all of the above. I just wanted to apologize ahead of time for whatever reason. The audio quality for this episode seemed to be a lot lower. I don't know if it was a Skype software that records the software. It used to record my audio locally. I don't know what happened, so I do apologize. Obviously, the next 2 episodes, though, those have been already recorded, so if there is any sort of lackluster audio, I apologize, and I will make sure I get it corrected. Also, a bit of news. After today's episode, moving forward, Growing Up Gaming will now be a monthly podcast. It has been great doing 118 episodes in a row. However, just due to time constraints, scheduling conflicts, all of the above, I think it's best for now, at least, to make this a monthly show. So it will be releasing now on the first Tuesday of each and every month. So you will still be able to catch the show, just not as frequently. And I do apologize for anybody that is disappointed by that. But again, don't forget to subscribe to the show so that way you can still catch new episodes each and every week. We have the Facebook group, Growing Up Gaming, YouTube, GUG Podcast, and on gugpodcast.com. Feel free to check out all of the above. So again, thank you guys so much for the support of the show. I really do appreciate it. Sorry if it disappoints anybody with the news, but I will be catching you guys next month with another new episode. See ya.